Welcome to SaaS on the Street. But it's not SaaS on the Street because it's the pandemic. Welcome to SaaS on the Screen. Here is Simon Small.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Yes, so we can't walk the streets, but we can tap the screen. And I'd like to bring in a very special guest all the way from a boat in Queenstown, Duncan Faulkner. Hey, Duncan.
Hey, g'day, Simon. How are you?
Very well. So I understand you're about to relaunch a SaaS business. That sounds pretty exciting.
Yes, relaunching what was originally launched 5 years ago as audits, which we launched it as a health and safety software app. We launched it for adventure companies, mainly in Queenstown. That was how we started. And now we're focusing on all industries. In all countries in the world is the plan, and our new brand, dropmyrisk.com.
Cool. And what's your question today?
Okay, so my question is, as I mentioned, when we first launched, we were very precise. We launched adventure tourism industry in New Zealand. But what we found over the last 5 years is actually every industry and pretty much every business that has customers that they engage with face-to-face back in those good old days, and a business that has premises needs to be actively managing risk. So it's far broader than adventure tourism. So my question is, how do we market to them on a broad scale? Because everything I read and listen to about marketing is all about being very precise around your sectors or who you're targeting. But actually, I want to go for everyone. Is that a stupid idea?
It's not a stupid idea, but you've got to have a kind of an angle in there. You've got to have a voice, and there are leaders out there, and there are followers. So even though we say, look, there's, I want to get everybody. I always say, how high up the tree does your product work? Some SaaS products just don't work when you get past 50 people in a company. They're quite kind of cozy and teamy, and it's got a certain sort of vibe. And then if you try it with 5,000 people, it's just not built for that, and it's unmanageable because you have all these divisions and hierarchies. And then could it ever work with 150,000 people at JP Morgan? Hell no, right? So you've got to see what the weakness is, and the easiest question to satisfy that is, could I put your product in with a business like JP Morgan with 150,000 people? Would it work?
It wouldn't be terribly well suited.
Yeah, no. So,
No.
So what is the upper limit? Because once you know what the upper limit is, then you kind of know. Then you know where the kind of the kings and the queens of your product live, because immediately you go, well, there's some of those companies in New Zealand, there's more in Australia, there's a whole lot more in America, and there's a lot in Europe. So are we going to spend 10 years trying to get all these New Zealand ones when there's a hell of a lot more of them in other places? So
and that's kind of I wouldn't say it's a catch-22, but it feels like it, that we've found ourselves in. So we launched adventure tourism industry, but businesses were all small businesses, some medium size. So that we did well, but they don't pay very well, those smaller ones, versus the enterprise type solutions that are going to pay a shitload more for pretty much the same features. So the features that we're offering, they solve 95% of an enterprise grade client's needs. But it's, do you add that extra 5% and go after them in what is a more competitive market, but with higher returns, or do you focus on the volume of clients at the other end, the higher volume of clients at the other end that are paying less?
At a hunch, I would say that you've got much more likelihood of building a kick-ass SaaS company by being at the higher end and figuring out what that scope of that high-end market is. Because when you talk about it, you know a whole lot more about the adventure tourism sector, the breadth of it, and you know what they value and what they'll pay, than you do of a company that's a large scale, somewhere sub. Just at a guess. I mean, could you do it on the number of employees at a guess, or is it more to do with the number of assets plus the number of employees?
We currently charge on the number of employees just because it feels like a fair way of doing it.
So what's your experience of the biggest enterprise client? How many employees?
300.
Right. So that's really small, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So I think your job is to get into knowing more about the 300 to 150,000 person company than it is about knowing, you know, how to, or trying to improve how you're going to sell it to the 10 to 50 person company. You already know that that's where the backbone of your business is going to be built, is on the enterprise clients. I don't buy that it's more competitive at the top end. I had a lot of experience and success selling at the top end, and you can very easily work your way into being in a market of one, and that's the trick. So you just need to be able to, and you need to be able to build up the kind of the case and the evidence and understand who else is in the market. Because this is SaaS on the screen, can we have a look at your competitors? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So give me a close down Chrome, and then there's like 100 reopen. That annoys me. Okay.
So risk manager would be a so in terms of corporate ones, risk manager or the Vault.
Are you all right? This goes out.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. This is SaaS on the screen. It's going out. I'm just closing down 15 windows. Oh,
Those big boys should know we're coming after them.
yeah. Okay, so there we go. Oh, look, it's the Regional Business Partner Website Guide for Service Providers. If you have a COVID-19.
Aren't you a provider for them, Simon?
Provider. I'm a provider, and the government is giving out grants to anyone who wants to work with me.
I got one just today, actually.
And you got one today, which is pretty cool. Because given you only heard SaaS on the Streets podcast last night, the system's working. And that's basically for me to spend hours with you sorting out some of these wrinkles. Okay, back to SaaS on the screen. It's not an advertisement, thank you. Promoting my services.
I'll get my free hour off you for that.
All right. I like that you messaged me on Messenger on the Facebook site I only just built for Moonshot Studios. Okay, so what's it called?
The Vault.
Vault.
Yeah.
It's not contemporary jewelry. Vault.com?
I don't know. Vault. Just type Vault Health and Safety.
Vault Health and Safety.
There we go.
Vault Intel. Yeah?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. The COVID statement. Okay, so Vault helping you manage through a crisis. It doesn't really look like they've done much other than just say will help you in a crisis for the COVID part of it. So let's get rid of that. So these are Kiwi guys.
Yes. Yeah.
30
And they've been around for a long time, and they've been one of the main players in the enterprise side of things. Interestingly, though, the feedback I always get is that the product is actually a bit not so flash, but the marketing and sales is really good.
Marketing and sales is great. The product's not so flash.
Yeah.
I mean, that's common, right? That's common, which is why you can potentially beat them in a competitive situation, given that that's kind of word on the street, and some clients will go for that. What's another one?
Risk manager.
Again, a New Zealand one. Is that it? Impact Risk Manager?
Yeah.
Well, that's an odd one, isn't it?
So that forms part of a larger health and safety consultancy, which is a terrific consultancy.
What's the consultancy called?
Go back on their website.
Impact.
Impact, yes, that's it. Yeah.
See, this is one of the so they're consultants in training. So this is another one that's easy to beat, right? Because what do you think they really, really want to sell?
Professional services.
Professional services. So the product takes a back seat because they've built a product on the side, but when you go to the product site, that's why I said it's odd, because it doesn't look like a product site. It just looks, probably not even. It's just the sign-in site, but it's called riskmanager.co.nz, risk manager sign-in. So Impact doing one thing, and they've done a little bit of software on the side. Vault Intel, that they call themselves, .com. As you said, they're big on the push at selling this stuff, but underneath it's not that great. Probably a lack of investment into the software to get to that point, but where they're doing on the surface incredibly well, but maybe that's for all sorts of reasons. We don't know how. I don't know, looking at it, how they got to 30 industries, 8 countries, 350 customers, 900,000 people protected, and 10,000 mobile app users. So what's another one?
People Safe. So People Safe is more of a fun type of brand, and they're more small to medium.
Right. People Safe, get your team working together to make work safer. Helps your teams shift their health and safety focus from compliance to actually keeping people safe. Less paperwork, more teamwork. A mobile app that's cloud software, common sense, fast, and even fun. Yeah. So, this is kind of the zero of safety, right? And it's trying to be that. Beautiful health and safety. Why didn't they put that? And that's you could just see that they're not going to go up against. Well, they might go up against Vault, but it's a whole different flavor, isn't it?
Yeah, it totally is. So do you, what I battle with is, do you create parallel strategies? Because those small guys are the ones that... No. You basically go hard and you get the highest possible client that you can for the highest possible revenue you can. So I said you said you've got a client that has 300 people. I said, what about 150,000? You said probably not. So what do you think you would definitely be
a shoo-in. Like, give me a massive number of employees
that we could go for.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could go. I think anything over 300 would probably be a bit annoying for the HR person. But like I mentioned, if we added 5% new development, things like creating users automatically or creating a fancy-looking dashboard that reports on multiple locations, so there's not a great deal of development required, then the product can be. It could go to Coca-Cola. It could do that quite easily. It's just whether or not we want to make the decision to say yes, do the development, and yes, make the investment in the sales process. Because at the moment we've got a pretty much fully automated sales process. Whereas if we go corporate, then we've got to start going through all the tender processes, which are resource intensive.
Yeah, look, this is something you actually have to make the hard decision about, is how high up that tree you want to go to, here we have an example of how high the tree goes. 3.2 million people are in the US Department of Defense. 2.2 million are in Walmart. Right. So you do have to figure out how, but I've been part of companies that have won these clients, and so that because what you said, like, how are you going to cut through? Well, how you cut through is you get your first one, and then what happens is you've won your first one, and then you're a lot further down the track to winning your second one. So I'll just give you a little example of selling a board paper solution, and I was doing pretty well even after the financial crash, selling it to fund companies, so the big, giant JP Morgans and Goldman Sachs and BlackRock and Legg Mason and all these big fund companies were some were upgrading from the US, and I was in charge of UK, Europe, Middle East and Africa. But what we really needed was the UK public companies. And it must have taken me 2 years to get the first one. And even right up to the 11th hour, I was going after this company. I remember walking from the reception desk to the boardroom, and I must have been there about 6 times in the last 2 years. And this assistant company secretary says, "So, Simon, tell me how many FTSE 100 companies you've got now." I was like, we still have none. But I was thinking, why don't you guys bloody sign, and then we'll have one, right? It's like it was like this waiting game. And so the top of the tree is like that. The top of the tree can be painful. But do you know how many FTSE 100 companies are now using that solution? I think it's 80 of the top 100. And do you think do you think they're going to leave because of COVID-19?
No, it seems unlikely.
They're locked in, they're upgrading, they're just there. So, and do you think, they've been a target for being acquired? Yes, absolutely. They got bought off the New Zealand Stock Exchange for about $1 billion. And the value's doubled, possibly tripled in the meantime since it's been private. So if you want to build a proper SaaS business with what you've got to get all the ninja skills to sell to the top of the tree, and you just got to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And
so why doesn't Xero do that? They've made a very deliberate decision to stop at medium-sized businesses.
Because their whole game plan was built off the family accounting firm that Rod Jury's business partner. Rod was part of this accounting firm as a customer, and the son of the father had set it up, Hamish. He just said, "I've got this brilliant idea," and he just replicated his family accounting firm that was dealing with small, medium-sized customers around the world. and revolutionized online accounting. So there was one ledger in the cloud. So that's why, that's the DNA of Xero. Now, Xero stray from that. They're straying in all sorts of ways from the kind of the DNA of the business. But if they stray and they say, oh, why are we sticking down with these little guys? Why don't we go get the big guys? I just put the American accent for the company's got a lot of cash, you know, sort of. So, because I think what happens with these SaaS companies when they get really big is they get bankers in. They're basically the money managers, because they're throwing off so much cash, and they do start to make decisions that are contradictory to the DNA of the business. So you could see Xero doing that.
Right. Okay. Well,
but I think it is. I think it is the top of the tree or the bottom. And I've said that time and time again, that you either go for the biggest companies in the world. It's easy to take them on and and have everything oriented around them, or you take on the little guys, small, medium-sized businesses, and you put everything around them. The two don't really mix together. A guy that made movies once taught in this class that I went to a couple of times. He said, you know, everybody wants to see like back in those days, a $200 million movie, and everybody wants to see a movie that was made for $10,000. But if you're in the middle, it's survival's kind of tricky. I just think the same with software. Go right up to the top of the tree, or stick at the bottom. But your one, I mean, I don't see if you were going to market your business, I don't see there's massive problems with getting big clients, given what you showed me. You know, you said it's more competitive. I don't think so. You just got to create the whole logic around what you're selling and how you're selling it, so that because the beautiful thing, this is the secret of the sauce, you don't actually educate people on what your product does. Hopefully those guys aren't going to listen to this. Yeah, all you do is you tell them why you're better, because they're going to bring, so if someone's going to buy Vault, or someone's going to buy, isn't it funny, I've completely forgotten what that thing is. Even, I'm going to show you my screen. This is how bad they are, those guys that are competing against you. The product, when you click on it, which is riskmanager.co.nz, the actual tagline, whatever that's called, on their tab in the Chrome browser says log in. So you're not going to have a problem beating Risk Manager, because the two sites related to Risk Manager, which is their site, and the other one, Impact, is actually called Workplace Health. So that's not a problem. So you're only talking about going up against these guys, and you know you've got better software. So you don't tell them about your software, you just tell them why you're better. And you know now why you're better. So all you're trying to do is get anyone that's trying to buy into these other services, including PeopleSafe, but you can forget about them too. You just say, these are the three things that we are best at. And then you put those words on your site. And then Diligent, when we got that right, it hasn't really changed in 10 years. And there's probably, $2.5 billion of value being added to the company, and it's getting 200 and something million revenue every year in annual recurring revenue. By doing that strategy, you put the top three things that you're the best at, and you compete, because other people are going to bring the customers to you, because no one in a corporate environment is going to buy one solution without looking at the market. So you have a better site than all of these, and better propositions. Boom, boom, boom. 3 things. We're more this. We're better that. You can count on us for being number 1 in this. And your whole sales is all about those 3 things. That's all you do, is you just ram those 3 facts down someone's throat when they're trying to buy you, and if they leave with those 3 things in mind, and then they go to the other guys and they say, but what about this? Huh, is that all you got? What about that? Is that all you got? What about this? Huh?
But where does that leave you though, with like when we set out over 5 years ago, we were all about helping the small businesses. You know, we were there because they like adventure tourism, they were the guys that were facing being shut down permanently if they couldn't get their compliance up to speed, if they couldn't, you know, lift the game as an industry. And that kind of, you know, that was, you know, one of our core values was to support those businesses that needed a product like this. So you
just told me that they weren't paying enough.
Well, they're not paying enough. They're not paying enough. And they're too high.
I think you've answered your own question.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
Who abandoned who first?
Okay, I sleep better now. All right.
I mean, we got ruthless. At Diligent, I would have people wanting to buy who couldn't afford it, and I would want to cut a deal, and there was just no forgiveness.
Yeah.
There was no forgiveness whatsoever. So it's just like, you know, we're selling a Mercedes, and I'm like, yeah, but it's priced in US dollars and pounds, and this little energy, you know, this little energy company in New Zealand wants a good deal, and is like, well, if you're in Africa and you want a Mercedes, you're still got to pay the price of a Mercedes to get it to Africa. You know,
are we just too nice in New Zealand, do you think? You know, are we all just trying to, SaaS companies, are too many of us trying to buid fun little products that help a large volume of people, as opposed to get out there and make some decent dough?
Possibly. I haven't really explored that. I think Xero is touted for a whole lot of things, and half of them aren't true. So it's not. So the bottom of the market, the small and medium-sized businesses, you know, I'm spending a bit of my time just telling New Zealand SaaS companies to go to the top of the tree. Like it's no harder up at the top of the tree. You just got to get it right. The contracts are bigger. The loyalty's potentially kind of greater. Your annual recurring revenue will be a lot greater.
Yeah.
But because if you don't make the choice, your whole business is established around conflicting priorities. But when you make the choice, you know who you are, and you can build yourselves around that.
I think you've just summed it up in a nutshell there. You know who you are. I probably don't know who I am at the moment. But
right. But I hear you've booked a COVID-19 Navigate session with Moonshot Studio through the regional business program, and that probably help you when you come out of the COVID challenge to be clear and accelerate.
Yeah, well, look, in all, I mean, we're having a laugh about your program, but in all honesty, I think the COVID program will actually be really handy for us to sharpen up who we're after and how we're going to get them, because at the moment we can't hop in the car and go see customers, so we've got to have that laser precision on our website and in our marketing, so we can find those customers and they can find us, and we can get a sharp sale. I can sell to most people. Once I sit down in front of them and have a cup of tea or coffee, you know, and talk them around, I can sell, but I can't do that now. So,
okay, well, remember I said there's other modules one of these is online sales mastery. And if you master online selling, I got to the point. So first of all, I had to go to see somebody to close a deal, right? It wasn't something that I could do without going to see them. And if I couldn't get in the diary for 2 weeks, well, I wasn't going to sell the deal to them for 2 weeks. I'm talking like 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, in London, running this operation for Diligent, and it was a real thing. But then I mastered how to sell and close deals, and the market picked up after the financial crash, and more FTSE 100 companies were coming on. I got this momentum going, and I went out to New York for a sales conference, and the thing I took away from that, just our internal global team, most of them in the US and me, was like, I said, what do you mean you're selling online? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, how long have you been doing this? Oh, like 18 months. What? I didn't know that. Oh yeah, it's so much better. You waste so much time traveling around to see people. Online selling is the best. So I went back and I mastered the online selling, and it's a totally different beast, but it is superior in every way to in-person. No, well, right now it's like a really kind of necessary tool. And it got to the point where even one of the biggest companies in the UK, if they called me and said, oh, we're interested, and I had a bit of a chat with them and went through what they were looking for, and they said, okay, we'd like to see you on Wednesday, please. And I go, okay, well, I could do that at 11 o'clock. Okay, that works for us. So we'll see you here on Wednesday. I'm like, no, I'm not coming in. They're like, what? Where are you based? I'm like, well, I'm in Chiswick, which is like half hour west. And they're like, what? You have to come in. I'm like, well, no, I can't come in. I've got a lot of stuff on, and it's online. And they're like, so you remember the first story I told you was just visiting, 6 times over 2 years trying to get a deal. This is like 3 years later, and the deals are coming thick and fast, and I'm into online selling. And they say, well, your competitors are coming in to see us. You're like, one's at 9, one's at 10, you're at 11. So I said, that's fine. And I got to the point, this is kind of where the skills kind of kick in after repetition and learning in a high-powered sales team, where I could get my voice through the teleconference machine in the room. I knew it was up on screen, or I was controlling it. I knew who was around the table. I knew what the concerns were, and I could tell the vibe of the room with about 8 people in there through an audio teleconference and the screen being shared with some slides. So it's something to kind of work on, and this next period is going to be so critical to get the skills up for online selling. Yeah,
well, it's going to be interesting times.
So, but the short answer is you can win big deals. The first thing I'd say is get a bloody Zoom background so we don't have to look at the inside of your boat.
You're still using Zoom. That's pretty outdated now.
What's outdated? The Zoom.
Zoom.
What?
No, it's good. I like your background. It's very good.
Zoom's the future.
Zoom will be doing well out of this pandemic. Everyone's Zooming now.
Yeah, even the crooks are Zooming and hacking it.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, we've gone long. So,
okay.
Is there anything else that you wanted to ask me?
I think, and I was going to ask you about SaaS pricing, but I think you've kind of answered that, which is just get rid of the cheap stuff at the lower end of the market and go big on the top end of the market.
that's a blunt response to your own question.
I mean, at the lower end, we're talking differences in packages of $25, $50. At the top end, I did a quote the other day for a regional council that's not too far away, and I quoted them, and I thought I was going high.
No, don't tell
me. They told me I was too low.
Yeah, don't say any prices. Yeah, I think that's a common thing. That's a common thing.
They thought it was cute. And we're still in talks. So that's good.
What I do find is that people, the SaaS companies I've been talking with lately, they're totally undervaluing what their offer is, and they're too scared to go up high. And yeah, I remember my brother saying, look, there's no way that Diligent is going to survive. This is just before it listed in 2007. He's like, it's just a website. Anyone can build a website that has board papers in it. It's just files on a website. I'm like, what he was missing was that the founders of Diligent understood the needs of directors in the boardroom. And when you're doing your when you're doing your sort of like the 3 things that you're going to compete on, that we're more this, better that, number one in this, what you want to really orient it around is who are your key constituents, because within a big organization, you're going to have a whole lot of people that you could be serving. You could be serving the CEO, you could be serving the chief risk officer, you could be serving the HR person, you could serve the operations chief, but you kind of got to narrow that down a wee bit and go, and then what's going to fall out is, I'm serving these people, and these are their 3 biggest concerns. Because this is what happened in the board portal business. I'd have a company coming back to me, like I've done the killer presentation, I've beaten out all the competitors, and then I get the call, and they'd say, we've just decided that we're not going to go ahead with you. I'm like, but we were we easiest to use, we had the best support, we had the best security. Yeah, our IT team's decided that we're going to build one. Oh my God. Do you realize how much that's going to cost? Do you realize how long that's going to take? Do you realize they might not even make it because they get pulled onto another project? Do you realize there's going to need to be 2 full-time IT people to support this and just keep up with new browser versions, let alone new devices? Like, what if someone invents an iPad and then someone copies it and creates an Android tablet? And, it's just like, are you kidding me? And by the way, what about the security of your IT team looking at all your board papers? So when you understand who you're really serving and how you're really serving them, then and you're going for the top of the tree, you've got a lot of room to be a premium product. There's a reason why Diligent's got like probably the last announcement about, I don't know, a year, 18 months ago, they had 200 million in ARR, but it had jumped from 18 months earlier being 100 million ARR. So it's gone from 100 to 200. So I always say, well, it's around 250. It could be 300, it could be 450, who knows? They're heading for $1 billion ARR.
Sounded like wolf.
Yeah, so pricing is the mechanic of packaging up. Like Rich asked me in episode 1, how do you price? And I said, well, you just charge as much as you can. This is what I was kind of getting at. If you're at the premium end, you charge as much as you can. And you find out where that is. I mean, Diligent's range per contract varied wildly in the early days until it found the kind of sweet spot. So you don't want that to be too low. You want there to be plenty of headroom so that as you grow, you become this unstoppable giant. And the difference, but here's the thing: is when you get into these contracts, it's really hard to increase them on people. It's really hard to go, oh, last year you're paying us 2,000. This year you pay us 5,000. They just say get lost. It's like if you go get a job at a corporation, you say, oh, I'm happy with, and you think, oh, I don't want to charge too much, so I'll get the job at 70,000. I reckon I'll get it at 70,000 as a salary. So yeah, I'd like 70,000. And then you get in there and you work your ass off and you prove all these things. And 6 months go by and you realize that you're outperforming people on 120. And so you go back and you say, look, actually, I'd like to be on 140. And they're like, what the hell? How can I justify you going from 70 to 140? It's just not going to happen. So you've got to, in a corporate salaried role, you've got to go in thinking you're not going to ever get a raise and you'll be happy. That's my thesis. Pretty much the same with SaaS. You got to go, I'm with you for 10, 20 years at this price bracket, and I'm happy with that. And I'm going to work my ass off to sort out all the problems, and you're going to give me enough money so that I can do that. So that's, and then we can talk more about it. I should do a pricing workshop, really, shouldn't I?
You should do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think you've answered my questions in, pretty good detail. Are you going to invoice me for this, or are we good?
This is all on the house. Just to agree to sell your soul to Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the next 10 platforms that come along. Okay, so it's April the 17th, Friday, April the 17th. We're speaking from Queenstown, across the divide.
Well, we're not. Where are you? Are you Queenstown?
I'm in Kawerau Falls, bro.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually Bannockburn.
Bannockburn? You didn't tell me that when we started. I would have chatted you.
You did. You didn't tell me. Although I am Queenstown Lakes.
Is that what the posh people refer to, formerly known as Cromwell?
No, south of the bridge.
I'm in Bannockburn.
If you're south of the Bannockburn Bridge, south of the Kawerau, we've got the explosives charges in the bridge ready to lock down, the whole of Bannockburn. So any day now, if that virus gets too close, whoomp.
We have a bridge that we have a bridge that's so solid it won't blow up because it was being damned to mine gold. All right. Thanks, Duncan. And you've filled up a whole episode of SaaS on the Screen. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, Simon. Appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend.
Cheers. Bye.